Welcome to Newspaper History. Hi, my name is Marissa. I'm a historical African-American romance author who loves trolling through old newspapers to find inspiration for my stories. So, can I take you back to 1928? Hi, okay, so today we are going to be going through the St. Louis Argus newspaper from Friday, January 13th, 1928, which appears to be an African-American newspaper and weekly, so it'll come out every Friday. So since it's January 2024, we're going to look at January 13th, Friday the 13th, January 28th. Now this is not the entire paper. This is just what I thought interesting, some things that I may want to include in stories that I write or things that I just thought were interesting. So let's see, the first thing that we have is the front page of the paper. So as you can see, this is from St. Louis, Missouri, and it was called, I believe, the Argus, and I'm curious what Argus means. I'll have to look it up, but it's an exponent of truth and justice, published in the interest of colored people, a square deal for every man. So for a lot of the newspapers that we see in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, we see a lot of, I don't want to say negative things, but terrible things that were happening to the race. As an example, 9 die in a blaze. So there was a fire. Harlem fire takes 2 lives. We see, as I was looking in the 20s, a lot of lynching things and people getting killed and a lot of race riots between African American and white people. But this was interesting. There was no lynching or like outright killing on the top fold of the newspaper. It's about how they, during that time, and you know what's interesting about the newspapers is like they're not just reporting what's happening in their city in St. Louis, they're happening everywhere. So as you can see, bids, race, fight, disfranchisement. So it's about, they're trying to stop fraud perpetrated, I swear I can read, against colored citizens and like trying to help and do good things for the African American community. We have an award. We have a new board member for Lincoln University. And so it's not outright about mobs and lynching, which is a really good start. So we're going to read more about race woman sits in West Virginia legislature. But this article over here on the left-hand side was about how a bank failed. And so some interesting things on the front page, but let's jump right into what I thought was super cool. So this is on the front page, right here on the left. Race woman sits in West Virginia legislature. Mrs. E. Howard Harper fills vacancy created by death of husband in 3rd term. So in West Virginia, January 11th, when the House of Delegates is called to order, Mrs. E. Howard Harper, prominent West Virginian race woman, and interestingly enough, they put race woman, so I'm assuming that means African American. It's just something else I'll have to look up, but race woman will occupy a chair among its members. And that was, I know I use the word interesting a lot because it literally is, everything is so interesting to me. When I think of West Virginia, I think of a lot of white people. I really don't think of African Americans living in West Virginia. So I'm sure they're out there. If you're out there, stand up and let me know. But I'm curious what the population is and how an African American man, or maybe she was married to a white man, but this is 1928, so I don't know, was voted in or appointed to a position in legislature in 1928, and then his wife appears to take over. So let's finish reading the article. So it will mark the first time that a colored American woman has filled an office in a state legislature. So Mrs. Harper was recommended by the Republican Executive Committee to Governor Gore for appointment as a member of the House of Delegates to fill the vacancy created by the recent death of her husband, Honorable E. Harper. Governor Gore supported the recommendation as required by state law. So even the governor was like, okay, yeah, you could step in. So she must have been an awesome woman. Governor Gore must have known who she was, because that's very interesting that your spouse dies, particularly your husband. And it's like, well, you know, we'll just let your wife come in. So I thought that was kind of cool. Honorable Harper was among one of the most popular members of the West Virginia House of Delegates. He was serving his 3rd term as legislature. So something interesting to look up. So now this next article here, I know that, sorry, I got to look around my thing. Hold on. There we go. I know that Charles Lindbergh, the aviator, was a huge deal in St. Louis. He's from St. Louis, and I know that the airport is named after him. So to see an article about him in a St. Louis newspaper doesn't describe me, or doesn't surprise me, but I clipped this article and we can read it together. It says, U.S. air hero will visit Negro Republic of Haiti. And I loved how Haiti was spelled like this with a Y instead of an I. And so Colonel Charles Lindbergh, America's goodwill messenger, will not pass up the little Negro Republic of Haiti on his present goodwill flight, which has carried him to the principal cities of Mexico and Central America. And so according to an announcement, and it just goes on to say he's going to stop at Haiti and extend some goodwill, see what's up. And so I thought that was a great picture of Charles Lindbergh, to see him young and with his haircut and just looking great. He kind of reminds me of the kid from Abbott Elementary. I shouldn't say kid, the actor from Abbott Elementary. So that's what's up. Charles Lindbergh went to Haiti to spread goodwill. Okay, the next article that I clipped just says would ban immigrants. So let's read it together. In Washington, January 11th, all immigration will be suspended until January 1st, 1935, which is 7 years from when this was written. Because this was 1928, I think it is. Yeah, so 35 will be 7 years because this is January of 1928. So all immigration would be suspended until January 1st, 1935, under a bill introduced today by Representative Blanton, Democrat of Texas, who declared the American standard of living is being lowered because of an influx of cheap foreign labor. The bill also provides for deportation of all aliens unlawfully in the country and for those who withdrew citizenship to avoid serving in the World War. So I clipped that for obvious reasons, because how pertinent and relevant. Like in 2024, we are still talking about the same things that someone from Texas, a representative from Texas, was talking about in 1928, how the American standard of living is being lowered. So they have the same opinions. And it's so interesting how the Democratic and Republican parties have switched, right, over time. And so, yeah, Texas representative wanted to stop immigration. Does that surprise anyone? Anybody? Okay. Anyhow, let's move on to the next article I clipped. And so I'm going to be honest, I clipped this article because I thought the man was handsome in the picture. And then I read it and I had so many other questions. So let's read the article together. And the title is Heads Local Bar Association. So this is Dr. J.T. Edwards. Hey, Dr. Edwards. Saturday night, January 7th, 1928, Dr. J.T. Edwards defeated, I don't know what JAS stands for. I know they shorten names so they don't have to print out as much. I don't know if that's James, maybe. L. McLemore in a spirited contest for the office of president of the Mound City Bar Association. Dr. Edwards enjoys the distinction of being an attorney as well as a physician. So Dr. Edwards is a lawyer and a doctor. Okay, now that's the kind of stuff that they could do in 1928, where you could go to law school and you could go to medical school and be a doctor. And so I'm so curious about him and his life. Was he ever married? Like, look how handsome he is. Like, he looks white, like his eyes look light and his hair looks straight, but he looks like he also has like a little bit of a brown tinge to him. So I wonder if he was of mixed race or what. So anyhow, let's finish reading the article. So the Mound City Bar Association has advisement plans for the most intensive effort ever to be made in St. Louis to place a Negro in Congress. So they were trying to gun for somebody to get into Congress. So I wonder if that ever happened. A drive is also on to work out a plan of cooperation between the doctors and lawyers that will bring business to race attorneys. The officers elected were J.T. Edwards, President, Ellis S. Outlaw, Vice President, G.M. Allen, Treasurer, DeWitt T. Lawson, Secretary, and Frank S. Bledsoe, Assistant Secretary. So This is the local bar association from Mound City. They wanted to bring the doctors and the attorneys together and put an African-American person in Congress. So super, super curious if they succeeded in that. I mean, I'm sure an African-American person has gone to Congress from the state of Missouri, but I'm curious if they were successful in their efforts or if it was somebody else. I'm very curious about Dr. J.T. Edwards. Was he married? Did he have time for a family? Was he even straight? You know, I see that dandy tie. I'm just so curious. And I just thought that was an interesting article for me to pull up. So, okay. In our final clippings that I have written, this is the final page, 3 more clippings that we are going to go over from the St. Louis Argus. And this first one is a former slave, age 108, dies. And this is just to show you how close we really are to slavery, right? So 100 years ago, which is not even 100 years ago, this was 1928 and we're in 24. So was it 96 years ago? We had a slave who lived until 108, passed away. So let's read about the Mississippian leaves wife, 100 years of age, and 12 children. So in Macon, Mississippi, from January 11th, the oldest citizen of the Noxubee County, Merrick Goodwin, said to have been 108 years of age, died from the infirmities of old age, which rendered him unable to withstand the rigors of the spell of zero weather that we have just gone through. So sounds like they had some cold weather in Macon, Mississippi, and he passed away. His son, Billy Goodwin, okay, I messed up the sentence. We'll just keep reading. Billy Goodwin, a few miles southwest of Macon on the place of Morgan Adams, a farmer of this section. Uncle Merrick, as he was called, came to Noxubee County 66 years ago, according to the statement of his son. He, with his wife and 2 children, were bought here from Virginia as slaves. So they came to Mississippi from Virginia as slaves. This was when Macon was young and the town clustered in a huddle about the courthouse. Part of the trip to Mississippi and the Noxubee County was over waterways, the party having landed from a passage up the Tombigbee River at Gainesville, Alabama. Listen, it's hard to read out loud, and especially when I don't know these points, so I apologize if you're from the Mississippi area and know how to pronounce these. My bad. Please help me, okay? I'm trying my best, guys. Anyhow. So at Gainesville, Alabama. From this point, they trekked across country, carrying their effects until they reached their destination. After the Civil War, Merrick, who had been known as Merrick Taylor, took the name of his father and became Merrick Goodwin. Throughout his long life, he had the same wife who now survives him, she being about 100 years of age, though the count with her is not exact. The old couple had 10 children born to them after coming to this county, having reared 12 in all. Of these, 5 are living, 2 being in Jackson, Tennessee, 1 in Chicago, and 2 here. Up to a year or 2 ago, Uncle Merrick was spry for his years and clear of mind, recalling instances of his youth with distinctness. But for the past 12 months or more, he had begun to decline and had grown almost unable to care for himself. His wife, Aunt Winnie, is practically helpless. So she made it to 100, he made it to 108, and Aunt Winnie's struggling a little bit, and they had, 12 children, having reared 12 children. Okay, so the next article, I don't know why that's so beautiful to me. The next article, something funny, hilarious that, it's not really funny. I don't want to use the word interesting again, but let's just go through it. The voodoo doctor, in quotation marks, voodoo doctor, again in toils, found driving at 3 a.m. with a revolver in his possession. So this is from Philly. Philly, what's up? What are y'all doing? Philadelphia, January 11th. Doctor, and I like how they put voodoo doctor in quotation marks, like he's allegedly Dr. E.H.H. Highcock, famed as a voodoo man, is again in the clutches of the law, but this time he is not accused of practicing the weird stunts charged to him at the time Camden police raided his underground den and found what was thought to be human bones. Okay, so that was last time Camden police got him and found maybe what we thought was human bones. Who knows what they really were. This time, he was arrested for carrying a concealed weapon after an officer stopped his car and searched him and found a gun on him. So, probably not his fault, probably just chilling, stopping and frisking in 1928. Super interesting. Like, of course, they know the voodoo doctor, so they're going to stop him and see what's going on with him, which makes me feel sorry for him because who knows, he could have been on some mess, but he could have also just been chilling, and here come the police messing with him, okay, because they know who he is. So they stop him, search him, find a gun. Doctor, this man's name is Highcock. Dr. Highcock explained to police that he was trying to find his way to Delcia Drive when the officer stopped him. He said he was carrying the gun in the car for protection. I wonder if that's just repeating a mistake. He was carrying the gun in the car for protection when he was called out on a late night trip to administer YARB treatments. Now we got to do the free Googles and see what YARB treatments are because I'm not entirely sure, but okay. He just had to bring his firearm with him for protection because you know how Philly gets, probably especially in 1928. Let's keep going. When Camden police forced Dr. Highcock to quit the city 2 years ago, they uncovered a series of tunnels under the 2 houses he had occupied. The tunnels were decked with all kinds of fantastic things, including dead chickens, which were used to cast a spell on his patients as they wandered through the underground passages. His present home is number 2014 North Warnock Street, this city. So they made him leave 2 years ago, but he's back, and now he lives at 2014 North Warnock. Hilarious. All right, I just wanted to leave you with a little bit of advertising. I thought this was so interesting. So these are 2 separate advertisements. We're in the service of others, manual undertaking company, professional funeral directors, and licensed embalmers. I just thought it's interesting how they list the phone numbers. Phone, Lindell, 7257. Now, this is really the one that I wanted to look at because I thought it was so amazing. Everybody knows this undertaker, okay? So if you're looking for an undertaker, everybody knows this one. And this is Chaz Bill Roberts. We know you can only retain your goodwill through our conscious efforts to serve you as you would be served. They were at 3035 Lucas, Jeff 1277. So wanted to leave you with an advertisement from the undertakers of the city. So thank you so much for spending time with me in 1928 in St. Louis, finding the most interesting articles. Come back, we'll do it again. All right, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, and subscribe for more. All right, talk to you later.